Time for Wine Talks with Paul K.
Fascinating story.
This is Robert Mondavi from the Michael Mondavi Winery.
I taste a lot of wine.
Having a conversation with Shark Tank, Kevin O'Leary.
Michael Silacci, Opus One Winery.
Incredible conversation with Dr. Nia Ruth.
No matter what, you're definitely going to feel better.
Sit back and grab a glass. It's Wine Talks with Paul K.
Hey, welcome to Wine Talks with Paul K. And we are in studio today in beautiful Southern California with a surprise guest in Valentino Valentini. Introductions in just a moment. Wine Talks, of course, available on iHeartRadio, Pandora, Spotify, wherever you hang out for podcasting. And always sponsored by the original Wine of the Month Club, now sporting the, I should say, the Montefalco series, but we don't have that yet. But we have the Napa series and the Rosé series of wines. Have a listen to a conversation that actually I just had with Elle Rodriguez. What an amazing woman in the wine business, the influencer side. I think you're going to find it really fascinating that this woman is out there shaking it up for the Latino market. But not while we're here. We're here to have a conversation with one of my great friends in this industry who out of sheer serendipity said, I'm going to be in town. Can we come by and see you? Welcome to the show again, Valentino. It's good to see you.
Thank you so much, Paul. Thank
Valentino Valentini.
Yeah, yes.
As I live and breathe. You know, I always tell people this is like a name from like the movies or something.
Yeah.
Is that,
no, it was a strange history because my father and my mother, they was waiting for a girl.
Oh, no,
so
I didn't know this.
Was ready a name for a girl, Katia. Because when I was born in 1972, because I was born in the same year of the Wine of the Month.
Yeah, right. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, the same year. They can't understand before which is the sex of the son, of the daughter. So they are waiting for a girl. And it was ready a name for a girl. So in few seconds, they choose the name of the boy.
No.
And they choose Valentino.
Okay, that's funny. I'm sorry that they were expecting a girl and you showed up. You know,
you was expecting a girl.
Did they treat you properly afterwards? Or was that nice of them? So what you know, we go back a long way. You come from a very unique part of Italy, which is so fascinating. We're going to come see you soon. Let's start with that. You know, I had a young woman in here who I've known well, and I buy wine from her. She's cute as a button, and I looked her up the other day just randomly, and there's wedding pictures, you know, but they're pre-wedding pictures. And so she comes in. I said, "Congratulations on your wedding." She says, "I'm not married yet." I said, "Well, when are you going to get married?" She says, "We're going to get married in May." I go, "Where?" She goes, "Umbria." I'm like,
it's a beautiful place. It's a beautiful, beautiful region. Probably it's not one of the most known region in Italy, but we are exactly in the middle of Italy, between Rome and Florence. We have many, many small towns, Renaissance town, Middle Age town. Perugia is the main capital. Assisi is probably one of the most.
So where is it? Let's for the listeners in the layout of Italy. Where would it be? Let's start at the north. We've got Verona and the Friuli and those
then
places.
We have Florence,
yeah,
with Tuscany. We have Lazio, Rome, and we are exactly in the middle. We are very strange because we are the only region in Peninsula area without the sea, because we are close in the middle. Umbria,
really? Because
in the Tirreno side, we have Tuscany. In the Adriatic side, we have Marche. And
I see.
It's one of the smaller regions, and Umbria is the green heart of Italy. Because the first color that you can see in Umbria when you travel on the hills, on the mountains in Umbria is the color is the green color.
Wow.
So it's like my shirt.
Yes, that's right. She was looking at your shirt, yes.
Yeah. So, and Montefalco is on the top of the hill, and you can see from Montefalco all the Umbria Valley, from Perugia, Assisi, Spello, and Spoleto. So it's a beautiful valley.
That's fabulous. We're coming.
Yeah.
I'm going to ask.
Then the particular of Umbria that we have many, many small towns, and you find frescoes of the 14th century, the 12th, the 13th century, everywhere. Also in a small village. Montefalco is famous for the Sagrantino, but it's famous also for the starting of the Renaissance in Umbria. We have a very important church, the St. Francis Church, that was painted in 1452 by Benozzo Gozzolis, a Florentine painter, and was very important for the heritage for Umbria, because it's the starting of the language of Renaissance in the fresco in Umbria. And many people arrive in Montefalco for testing and visit the winery and to see and to visit the Museum of St. Francis.
And you were the mayor of Montefalco.
Yeah, for 10 years in my
For
second
10
life.
years.
Yeah, when I was young.
I love telling that story. It's like, I know the mayor, and I used the story with the young girl. I said, well, I know the mayor of Montefalco, the retired mayor. She goes, well, my friend got married by the mayor of Barbaresco, and maybe, I said, well, I'd be happy to reach out. And so you've agreed
I was
to do
young.
this.
I was 27 the first time.
What did you do that? So what motivated you to be in public politics? I mean, public life is a pain, let's face it.
I started when I was very young at the secondary school, so I love to make the public things.
Right.
And when I was 27, they asked to me to make the mayor for the first time, and then I was reelected the second time. So it was from 1999 to 2009. It was a very exciting period because Montefalco changed a lot in this time.
Yeah. Did you make a difference there?
Yeah, totally different. Because Montefalco is in the middle of Italy after the Second War, was very, very poor area. The agriculture was poor, no industry, there is nothing. And Montefalco lose from 1951 and 1961 in 10 years the 40% of population.
Wow, that's hard to do.
All in north of Italy, Europe, and my family went in Switzerland.
Wow.
My father,
really?
He was 14 and he went in Switzerland with a mom. My grandfather stayed in Montefalco to try to grow up the farm. The family of my father had a big farm, 50 hectares, the oil mill inside, the winery, and the name of the winery came from this history because Boccale was the jug that people used to buy wine and olive oil in the past, was the unit of 2 liter. And
the Boccale is a
Boccale
2 unit.
is the jug, yeah.
The 2 unit. I'm gonna have to start using that.
Yeah, and people that went to buy wine and olive oil in the farm of my grandfather, they started to call my grandfather and the brothers Boccale. So
really?
It became the nickname of my family. My surname family is Valentini.
That's a great story.
But all knows my family like Boccale because there is many Valentini family in the middle of Italy. It's a Roman surname. And so in Umbria, Lazio, and Abruzzo, you find many families that have this surname. But Boccale is only one. It's in Montefalco.
Beautiful. It's a beautiful story.
Yeah. And when me and my brother, the third generation, we choose to restore all the farm of my grandfather, we replanted the vineyard, we restored the building, we restored also the brand of the winery, and we choose in honor to the founder the name Boccale.
So the winery had not functioned for how many years until you came?
They grow up at very, very low, and they sell all in the local market with a jug.
Yes.
Now we're bottling the 99% of our production. And we export the 70% of our production. And United States in this moment is the most important market. We sell in 18, 19 states in this moment.
I can tell you, whenever I go to an Italian restaurant, if they have your wine, I buy your wine just because of our relationship. And
Thank you so
even
much.
Mi Piace had it recently that I had a bottle. But so let's talk about Umbria as a town. Sagrantino is I'm guessing is the main red grape of Montefalco in the general area. This Trebbiano Spolenta, what is it?
Spoletino.
Yeah, Spoletino.
Trebbiano Spoletino is the indigenous grape of the area. And we rediscovered 10 years ago because Trebbiano Spoletino had a big problem in the past. All the farmers, like my grandfather, they use a very strange system that is called marriage system. The most expensive things in the vineyard is the system to grow up the vines.
Yeah.
And they use another kind of plant, usually an elm, to grow up the vines. And this kind of system made 100 bunches. So it was very probably to have the maturation. To understand now when we have the harvest of Trebbiano Spoletino in the end of October, because we have very late maturation, we have 8-9 bunches per plant. 2-3 bunches are still green.
Really?
Yes.
That's
So in the
interesting.
past was impossible to make a good wine with
how did
100
you do that?
bunches. It
Yeah.
was totally green with a high acidity.
Yeah.
Now we have the acidity from the green bunches and the flowers from the perfect maturation bunches. So it's
Fabulous. It was, one thing that's intriguing to me being in this business are these indigenous white Italian grapes. They have so much character,
yeah.
and they bring to the table something that we don't get to taste here. It's not Sauvignon Blanc, it's not Chardonnay, it's not Trebbiano, it's not, Catarratto, it's none of those grapes.
And then it's totally different than the other Trebbiano that you know in Italy. We have Trebbiano in Tuscany, in Abruzzo, in Lugana.
Right.
The harvest usually of the white grape is in the end of August, starting of September. In this case, we have the maturation in the late of October. So, and then Trebbiano Spolitino keep the name from the Latin name of the town of in front of Montefalco, that is Trevi now, and the Latin name was Trebium. So it's the
Really?
wine, the
Wow.
grape that grow up from Trevi and Spoleto. That is the most important town in this valley. Spoleto is a very important town in Umbria during the Pope domination. Was the capital of Umbria during the Pope domination. It's a beautiful town with the castle on the top, and was the main city in this valley. And so it's the grape that grow up in this valley. And Montefalco is exactly in the middle of the valley. So my winery is the middle hill of Montefalco, so we can produce both side domination, Spoleto denomination, the grape of the valley, and Sangiovese and Sagrantino from Montefalco denomination.
Do people say, "Hey, Mayor, you're walking out"? Hey,
Yeah, when I work in the town, yeah. But 10 years is a very long experience.
it's a
For
long
me,
time.
it was a very good experience.
Of course.
I learned a lot in this time, and I was happy because Montefalco, not only for my work, but for the work of the winery, from the work of all the population, changed a lot in 10 years. It was totally different. Sagrantino changed Montefalco 100%.
Is there a great pride amongst the vintners in Umbria for these grapes that are rather unique to the area?
Sagrantino is
Yeah, Sagrantino
only in Montefalco.
And Trebbiano
And Trebbiano Spolitino. Then we have Grechetto, that is in the area from in the hills from Montefalco to Todi, because Umbria has two important valleys. The Tiber Valley is the biggest valley, and the Umbria Valley. And Grechetto is the grape that is grow up from Montefalco and the Tiber Valley. And then we have Sangiovese everywhere. Then we have a little bit Cilieggiolo in the south of Umbria, in the Narni area. This is a new area that make wine. But the historical place in Umbria to make wine is Montefalco for the red, Torgiano, and Orvieto, of course, for the
white. Does the rest of Italy embrace the Umbrian wines, or they want to stick with Sangiovese and Tuscany, and they want to stick with, near d'Avola in Sicily and Primitivo and Puglia? Does the rest of Italy sort of say, yeah, this Sagrantino, these guys over in Umbria know what they're doing? Do they do that, or you have to send it to America for us to figure it out?
Yeah, of course. And you find Sagrantino only in Montefalco and 4 small towns around Montefalco.
It's such
it
a
is
great
Bevagna, Gualdo Cattaneo, Giano dell'Umbria, and Castelritaldi. All the population in these 4 or 5 towns is 20,000 people, so it's very, very small area. We have some news from the origin of the name of Sagrantino.
What's that?
Because we make the Sacher made Sacher, and the current opinion is that it's the wine of the mess. Now we found some documents from the Frederick II, the emperor, after the fall down of the Roman Empire.
Yeah.
We had a very important German emperor in Italy.
Yeah.
It was very, very famous because he founded the most important university in Naples and Palermo. The university in Naples is called Federico II. And the name of the emperor was Federico II di Svevia. And he was very famous for the hunting with the hawks, with the falcon.
Wow.
And he wrote the most important book in the world since now is Ars Venanti Cunavibus, is Latin. Is the art to hunt with the falcon. And he used a kind of falcon. He was the favorite of Federico II, and the name was Sacher, from the Arab name of the kind of the sacro. And in this time they use particularly kind of antioxidant, and when they have the flu or something else, and was called violaceum, and was wine, sugar, with the infusion of petal of violet. And we have the document.
Sounds delicious.
Yeah, and we have the document that they have a small pandemic inside the court of Federico II when he stayed in Montefalco. And we have the document that he wrote to ask from the headquarters to have the violaceum. And the violaceum didn't arrive. So he made with the local wine. So he used Sagrantino. And from this time, Sagrantino became Sagrantino. And Sagrantino means the wine that care the falcon Sacher.
Wow.
Yeah. And this time we have 2 things very important, because the Roman name of Montefalco was Coccorone. That means top of the hill. Cucuzzolo, Coccorone.
Yeah.
And in the 1242, with Federico II changed from Coccorone to Montefalco from the same reason, because it was a place perfect to make the hunting with the hawks in the valley. They used the 400 meter of Montefalco to make the hunting with the hawks.
Wow. Do people know this? Do the Umbrians know this?
No, it's a news from...
It's news stories?
Yeah, because we will introduce in the next Anteprima in April. This is the news of the 2023. Yeah,
Wow.
because we know that the first document that talk about Sagrantino is in the ancient library of Assisi and is from the 16th century. So it's an old grape. So
Yeah, right,
very old. In the past was used to mix, to blend with the other kind of grape. And in the end of the 90s, we start to make the 70s. We start to make 100% of Sagrantino. In the past, was very very tannic wine, probably because the harvest was too early. Sagrantino is a powerful
robust
wine.
grape, yeah.
Now we wait the perfect phenolic maturation in the end of October, and we change a lot the contact with the skin. In the past, we was scared of the contact with the skin, so we made very short contact with the skin, but hard extraction, 4-5 pumping over every day. Now we change a lot. We made 40-45 days contact with the skin, but with only 1 pumping over every day. So softer extraction. Have you ever a drinkable, softer velvet, more velvet tannins in the Sagrantino?
Wouldn't it be fun to go back, I don't know, 100 years, 75, 200, and taste what they were making from Sagrantino, and just to see?
We have a document that is from the 1925, so 100 years ago.
100 years, yeah.
And was the first exposition of in Montefalco, because in this period we have the region in Umbria in Italy is recent. It's from the 1970. Before was only the province, and the Perugia province was the actually province of Perugia, Terni, and Rieti. Was Umbria and Sabina, we call. It's a big part of the middle of Italy. Yeah. And we have the catalog of this exposition, and we find Sagrantino asciutto, that means dry, and Sagrantino abboccato, that means passito.
Really?
So they made already in this time both Sagrantino sweet, passito, with the drying system of the grape and dry, Sagrantino dry.
Wow, that's a great story.
Because after the Second War, I told you before, the population that left Montefalco in 10 years, many people, and what happened in the farm, that in the winery. The Sagrantino, the characteristic of Sagrantino, it is the half production of the other kind of red grapes. Usually we have 8-9 tons per hectare of Sangiovese. We have less 5 tons per hectare of Sagrantino.
Wow.
So the farmers with so poor economy, they changed Sagrantino with the other kind of grapes. So arrived in the end of the 70s only the sweet version of the Sagrantino, because they keep some plants only to make the wine from Easter, from Christmas, for a gift. And we start to make the Sagrantino in the dry version in the end of the 70s. In 20-25 years became one of the most important 10 reds in Italy.
Wow, that's pretty good stuff.
And now the area is becoming important, because before we had only the most important red grapes or red grape of the region. Now we have also the most important white grape, that is Trebbiano Spoletino.
What happened during the war?
During the war,
did the Germans come and?
We had the Germans in Montefalco. We had the headquarters before of the Germans, and they stayed in my grandfather company farm, because they find everything to eat.
Yeah.
My grandfather said to me when I was young, we never be poor and not rich, but we eat it every time 3 times in 1 year, in the day.
Yes.
And was very difficult in this time.
Right.
So the soldiers before the Germans, and then the headquarters of the English soldiers stayed in the farm of my grandfather. So,
really?
So they find food, olive oil, wine, grease, chicken, everything to eat.
That's unbelievable. Was it affected by World War I as well, or no?
Yeah, the effect of the Second War.
First one.
No.
World War I.
No.
Nothing.
No, nothing. No, it was in the north of Italy, World War now.
I would love to find out more about the stories of World War II and the effect it had on vineyards throughout Italy, and particularly in Montefalco, if that was part of the thing. And here, this is why. Let me see if I can articulate this, because I have this thought now. And we talk about old world wines and new world wines. In America, Australia, South America, they're all new world, right? And the idea is, one idea is it's geographic. The other idea is there's no rules. We can do whatever we want. And the other idea is it's a character, like the new world wines are younger and brighter. But I've got a different definition. And you already explained part of my definition. This history between your grandfather and your grandfather's father and your grandfather's father's father. I think all of those lessons and all the things you've heard, and now that you've found this with Federico II, the story with him, that all of those things affect the way you see life, the way your kids see life, the way the winemakers in your area see life. And even though you might not taste in a bottle,
the most important
but
effect is one, that 50 years ago, only Italy, France, and North California made high-quality wine. Now you find high-quality wine everywhere in the New World. You find in Argentina, you find in Chile, you find in South Africa, New Zealand. But which is the difference? That Italy made wine with 700 kinds of grapes, with a lot of history, with
a lot of
century of history on the back.
Yes, that's
and
it.
This is which is the result in the glass, that we made unique wine. If you want, you find unknown grape in Italy.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, and before only Piedmont, Tuscany, and Veneto. Now we have the center of south of Italy with big wine from Umbria, from Basilicata, from Puglia. Sicily is totally different than 30 years ago.
Yes.
Etna area with the Trapani area. So Italy is very, very cheap. The wine changed all the center south of Italy. And then also, of course, we have the most important region that stay there with Barolo, with Valpolicella, with Tuscany. But now we have many, many wineries in the center south of Italy that make high quality wine and unique wine.
It seems like then you've just defined what I was talking about, which is the history defines these regions. I mean, it's the history. Like, we don't have that history here. We're making history, but all the regions you talked about, wine has been the culture of that region.
Yeah,
it's always been the culture.
And then there is a very important combination: the wine, olive oil, and the food.
Yeah,
because many people think, like in the past, the culture of olive oil is different than the wine. Everybody thinks that olive oil is one. We have several kinds of cultivar that is the kind of the olive to make olive. And you have the perfect combination between the wine, the olive oil that grow up there, and the food. I make an example. If you use the Garda Lake olive oil on the steak of Chianina from Umbria or Toscana, you don't taste the olive oil. And
That's
the same if you use the olive oil from Umbria in a sea fish, you taste only the olive oil. So you have the same pairing that you made with the wine with the olive oil. And then the richness of Italy that you made 50 kilometer, 100 kilometer, and you find a different culture of the food. In the north there is a culture, in the center of Italy there is another culture, in south there is another culture, food, meat, sea fish, everything you find in Italy.
The idea is what grows together goes together.
Yeah. And the reason that in the last 5,000 years, all the people that travel in the Mediterranean Sea, they arrived in the south of Italy.
Yeah.
In the past, you don't travel with the luggage.
Yeah, that's true.
You bring with you some plants, the plants of your land.
Right, that's true.
And all the people that arrived from the east side of the Mediterranean to the west side, they arrived in Sicily and in Campania, in Calabria, sorry. And then the second step made this Roman soldier that they bring before in Italy and then in all the Europe that we know now, and was the world in this time. The richness of Italy is from this reason,
and it has to come through in the wines. It has to be there. You can't go through that history and not affect the way you think, and the way your kids think, or the way your father thought, and their outlook on life when it comes to making wine is going to be totally different than the winemaker in Napa. It has to be, right? And I think that's one of the huge cultural things. This is and the reason I brought it up is I'm working on a TV show that is going to explore these cultures. Yeah. So it's kind of like the food shows that you see, but we're not going to swirl and sniff wine. We're going to go in. We're going to talk about these historical things. We're going to talk about Federico II and what difference it made to the world.
And in the 90s happened the opposite that happened after the Second War, that the young people, they restart the work of the grandfathers, like in my farm. So my brother, when we was around 2025, we choose to restore all the farm. And we restart with a totally new system, invested in the indigenous grape, Sagrantino and Trebbiano Spoletino. And we restart, and we have a small winery that made only 40,000 bottles at all. But we export in all the world, in North America, in Brazil, North Europe, in Asia, China, Japan, South Korea.
That's amazing, really. All these
Yes,
places.
small quantity, but everywhere.
Yeah.
This is
That's
our
fascinating.
philosophy. Yeah. And now the winery is 6 hectares of vineyard, 10 hectares at all, because we have a small production of olive oil too. We have 1.5 hectares of olive trees, and we made olive oil with Lecchino and Muraiolo. It's 2 kind of cultivar of the area. And then we have 2 hectares of Sangiovese, 2 hectares of Sagrantino, half hectare Merlot and Colorino that we use in Montefalco Rosso, and then 1.5 hectares of Trebbiano Spoletino.
Wow.
Yeah, we changed all the philosophy of the winery. We are a sustainable winery. It's 13 years that we don't buy energy, but we use solar power.
Really?
So, yeah. Now we are making the second system to be 100% of.
That's big.
Yeah, and then we are a winery that don't use chemical products in the field. We don't use herbicide. We use organic and mineral fertilizer. In the winery, we have the same philosophy. All the wine are made with spontaneous fermentation. The red are made without animal stabilization and without microfiltration. So we are a sustainable winery that try to produce natural wine. And from 2023, we are officially organic farm.
I think that of all the industries in the world that make things, that probably wineries should be the most prone to sustainability, and they could have the most impact on being sustainable. But I said earlier in the show that I quote you all the time. And one day when we were speaking years ago, we were talking about the organic movement and biodynamic, and you said, well, my children are playing in that yard.
Yeah.
In the vineyard. And I thought, wow, that's pretty prolific, because then I heard a story about, let's say, the animals. The dog goes out and plays in the vineyard, and it collects pesticides, insecticides, herbicides. It comes into the house, and the baby's crawling around the floor, and he puts his or her nose in the dog's fur. And I go, wow, that's a pretty impressive vision, right? So you now are certified organic. You've been following the...
Yeah, after the first lockdown, we were many times together, my father, me, and my brother, like when I was 14, when I was a teenager. And we choose to make another step. We say it's important that we have this kind of work in the winery, but we need to make a certification. So we start in 2020, and the European rule, you need to wait 3 years.
Yeah.
So from 2023, we are official organic. And we made also the vegan certification because we don't use dairy, we don't use eggs, and to respect the people that have the vegan philosophy, and for many people that have allergy to the eggs, to the dairy. So we have a big respect to make high quality wine with sustainable process for our customers.
Was there a problem going from egg whites to whatever? What are you using today? Clay?
No, we wait.
Just
wait.
It's just strictly gravity flow.
Yeah, the gravity.
Okay.
So
so
now usually in the spring we keep up the wine that finished the aging in the barrel, and we wait the end of August for make the bottling. So yeah,
so
it's a long process, longer process, more expensive, but more healthy.
And then you suck off the top of the barrel.
Yeah.
That's fascinating, and I'm so proud to know that you went organic. I mean, you were always organic in your practice, but the community, the wine drinking community, for some reason, I've had customers complain to me that I know the wine's organic, and the winery told me it's organic, and the winemaker, but they didn't certify it. And then customers call me and say, this isn't organic. I go, it is. No, it's not. It doesn't have the certification. I'm like, oh, well, there's more to it than that, but that's okay.
No, it's important.
I'll send you the certification.
It's important to make the certification.
So the vintages we tasted are organic in the sense that's how you farm them, but we haven't seen the vintages in the bottle yet.
No, officially the first harvest is 2023. We have organic, but not certificated. The wine that you tasted before is wine without chemical residual.
Do you think that's a responsibility of the wineries throughout the world to produce as pure a wine as possible, as clean a wine as possible, as
Of course.
less intervened?
And I think that it's possible to make natural wine with a sustainable process, with artisanal process of high quality.
Well, your
level.
ancestors did.
Yeah,
Right.
I tried and I did. I think, but it's not of my opinion. You should say.
Well, see, the thing that drives me crazy, particularly nowadays, is that wines from your area, wines from all over Italy, wines from all over South America, from Croatia, from Lithuania, wherever, were always dry and they were always natural. Let's using the term natural because there wasn't anything to put in them in the first place. I'm talking about historically, right? Then in America, we start adding stuff, sugar and acid and one of 76 different color, and then we put them on the shelves and people buy them, and they sell like these I call them formula wines, right? They have the same flavor every year, over and over and over and over. So we created this monster. And then now in America, there's winemakers saying, well, we don't do that anymore. We don't do that. We're a better wine, and we're healthier than the other ones that you're buying on the shelf already. But you created this monster in the first place, and then now you're acting like you're taking credit for doing it the right way.
Yeah, of course.
And it's wrong.
I think that in Europe in 20, 30 years, all the agriculture will be organic.
Organic.
Yeah.
You think like even the fancy Bordeaux is going to be that way? I think they're going to go.
I think so because the
population?
customers, the population, they would like to change. So the solar power, the clean energy, and all the process, because we are killing the world. So
Yes.
we need to stop and change.
I think all over, not just in grapes. I think with farms, whether it's wheat or green peppers or cucumbers, that it's an obligation of ours to plant and farm as cleanly as possible. And then the argument then is, well, can you really feed the world organically? In other words, can you produce enough in the organic fields? And I had a woman sitting in the chair that you're in, and she's like, absolutely, we can get yields from organic farms that we can get from conventional farms.
Yeah, of course.
But you
And then
might
the
read
science now help us to make organic process without the chemical products.
Yeah,
It's easy to do. Probably we have a little bit less production.
a little bit.
This is
Like what was
a
it?
little bit, but it's not
5%,
a,
maybe 10%.
yeah, but it's not a problem. We have a little bit higher cost, of course.
yes.
So the price of the wine is a little bit higher. But I think this is the only way.
I think particularly the wine, and I certainly I would love to know about grains, about vegetables. One thing that always makes me laugh is that you go to the restaurants and the markets here, and they have organic carrots, and sometimes the organic carrots aren't so good. You want the conventional carrots sweeter and it's brighter.
Many problem of the people health problem is from the food that we eat every day.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
For sure. Well, that also leads me to this other part of the conversation, which is now in America. And I don't know about Italy or France. We haven't been related to look at the shelves, but they're starting to tell you that their wine's healthier for you than another wine. Now, here you are, you have an organic farm. You don't put any stuff in it. You've always been conscientious about that. And so I'm starting to get annoyed at the idea that they're selling wine as a health beverage, so to speak, like it's healthier. And wine does have health benefits, but you don't sell it like it's some kind of smoothie,
Of course.
right? It's got a different.
And we are lucky because we have the grape with the most concentration of antioxidant at
That's
all.
right,
Sagrantino.
Right?
Sagrantino
Well,
is
what
the
about
double
Tanat?
of polyphenolic than the other kind of grapes. If you see the picture of the vineyard in November, when the leaves change color and before fall down, usually the leaves became yellow. All the kind of grape became yellow.
Yeah.
Sagrantino leaves became red because there is a lot of concentration on the skin
Oh, I see.
and then in the glass, but also in the leaves. And this is the reason because all the hills of Montefalco and the town around Montefalco became yellow and red. So it's beautiful landscape and it's perfect for our health. Of course, drinking with moderation,
Yeah.
1, 2, 3 glasses during the meals.
So, for the listeners, what Valentino just said is that if you're going to drink red wine and you want it to be you want to maximize the value of your antioxidants, you must drink Sagrantino.
Yeah, of
Right.
course, of course. It's like
Because it's better for your arteries.
I show you the day. This is exactly the double. Sangiovese has the half of polyphenolic of the Sagrantino. Yeah,
I've
but
read that.
all the other
I've
red
read that
grapes.
before.
Yeah.
I've read that before. I just had a thought. I lost it. We talked about biodynamic. We talked about organic. What's next for Valentino Valentini's farm? Are you experimenting with other?
Now we are
grapes?
we are making an experiment with a very few quantity of Sagrantino. We are trying to make a selection of Sagrantino. I told you about the change of the content with the skin. We tried with a softer content with the skin,
Yeah.
juice and wine, made by hand. And
Ooh.
so we use all the wine that we made. The fermentation is still with temperature control with a motor system, and we try to go back. We use open tonneau, 500 liter, open the top side, and we make the fermentation and the contact with the skin with pushing down by
Wow.
hand. So we have a softer contact with the skin, and we have more velvet tannins of the Sagrantino. And then of the Piano Spoletino that you tested before, we made now one fresh version. We make the harvest, one night of cold maceration, then we made the pressing the day after, and then the wine. The secret of the flowers of the wine is a very slow fermentation at 16 degrees for 1 month. Then the
Wow.
wine stay on the fine lees.
Wow.
And from the harvest 2023, we bought 2 amphora to try
Really?
what's happened with
Wow.
aging of 6 months or 1 year in amphora of the Trebbiano Spoletino.
What's old is new again, right?
Yeah, every 2-3 years we
something
try
else.
to make something new, of course.
But you need
Because-
a Sagrantino.
Because Trebbiano Spoletino is a very versatile kind of grape, because it's very hard skin. You can aging. It's not like other white wine that you need to drink in the summer later. The year later can stay 3, 4, 5 years without problem, and can have aging in wood and in amphora. I don't like so much the aging of the white wine in the wood,
No.
but I would like to try what happened in amphora.
It would work, I think, with that grape, because I noticed, first of all, the color when you poured it in the glass was like no other color. It almost looked like it had been in the bottle too long, but this was the current vintage and it was young. And certainly a bright acid and wonderful structure and balance. And the flavor profile was like nothing else. So I think it could take a little oak and see what would happen with it.
In our work, you can stay.
But you only get one chance a year, right?
Every time we have important grape, so we need to make experimentation to understand what happened with the work of this grape.
The rest of the world that I've spoken with seems to be not struggling with, but working with the climate change. There's not a political show, so we don't discuss why there's a change, but I have an interesting comment to make. What have you noticed it there? Have you changed anything for the change in temperature?
Yeah, this is the most problem that we have in the last years. We have very hot summer without rain. We have late frozen in the spring. We have very warm winter. This year was very strange because we had the snow. We had very cold winter. But in the last year, we tried to change the system to grow up the vines. We understand that the Guyot is a different result after the frozen in the late spring. So we made half vineyard in Guyot and half with Condos pools to understand what's happened.
Mm-hmm.
And then we use the zeolite, that is a stone that is like a sponge that keep
Really?
the warm,
Yeah.
the water during the night
Yeah.
from the breeze, from the wetness in the night.
Right.
And they keep the water and then give during the day. So we
Really?
are trying to make something to understand because we in Montefalco, in the rule of Montefalco denomination, is not allowed irrigation
At all, not even in the beginning.
It's not. No, only in the beginning. Before
first.
when you plant the new vineyard in the first 3 years, but before the production. When the vineyard is in production, is not allowed the irrigation.
But that's like, I think in general, people look at that as a good thing because the roots go down. They look for water deeper.
Yeah, of course.
They go to new rock. They get new character.
Yeah, because with the water, it's okay, but it's a problem because if you haven't water, the roots of the vines is too short.
shallow,
We
yeah.
need to go down and find the humidity, the water this is the right way. Yeah.
Well, there's, the thing about climate change, and I was just reading a book about World War II, actually, and they were talking about, let's go to Burgundy for a second. Louis Jadot was saying, hey, we had this frost in May or April.
Yeah, in the end of April.
Yeah, and it did something to the buds, and it froze some of the buds. But then in this book, the 1940 vintage, there was a frost in June. And so when I hear stuff like that, I go, wow, yes, we understand that the weather erratically is acting erratically and that there's changes in temperatures, but we don't really know if this is cyclical or just part of a season. We're just humans passing through all this. You're going to hand it off to your family and their family and their family. We don't know what's changed. I was reading a book about Champagne, late 1700s through early 1800s. It was a mini ice age. So,
and for winery like me, that we don't buy grape, we don't buy wine, but we use only the grape that grow up.
Right?
Yeah, we have the 30%, 20%, 40% less production every year. So some people say, you told me that last year that you produced 30,000 bottles. Yes, because we had the 30% of less production. So with the same vineyard, give totally different production.
Isn't that amazing?
Yeah.
But that's why you're there. This is why you do it.
I'm here from promote my wine.
No, but I mean, the reason why you're doing what you're doing is because of that. Is because you're with nature. You're doing the things you want to do, and you will deal with the climate change. You'll deal with whatever comes your way because of your passion to make wine.
Yeah, of course.
The best wine that you can make from what you're given.
I have a big passion because I rebuy the land that my grandfather sold.
Yeah.
So this is my father is very proud of the work that we are made. So it's hard work, it's difficult work because I made everything in the winery.
Yes.
If I went here in September, October, my hand was black.
Yeah.
I make the harvest, I make the work in the winery, and I try to make the expert manager also of the winery.
And
all the member of the family works inside of the winery.
Now you're going to be the officiate at a wedding. So.
Yeah. And I will make the wedding of your friends, of course.
It's very fun. So
I have a big experience of the marriage.
Oh, good. I appreciate that. So you're here in America for a week?
No, 1 month.
A month?
Yeah.
Wow, that's hard to do.
I have a very long trip from Massachusetts, Ohio, then California.
And where in America does Boccali do best?
There is California, of course, Massachusetts, New York, then very good work in Washington State.
Really? That's interesting.
Yeah. And then also we are going well in the Midwest, in Missouri, south of Illinois, Kansas.
And who's your favorite distributor?
Franco, of course. Franco is from San Clemente in California, in the south of Los Angeles.
So for the listeners, Franco's been coming here.
Franco, I love Franco because he's the same age of my father.
Oh, there you go.
So when I stay here, it's like I stay with my father.
How about that? He's been coming here for 20 years at least. So it's always good to see you. And we're running out of time. So good to see you. I'm so glad you reached out to me and said you were going to be in town, and you took the time to come here on a Monday afternoon and talk wine and catch up.
I'm happy to stay with you.
And thank you. We are planning a trip, 2 trips this year. We're going to be in Tuscany for sure in September, so we'll have to jaunt down to Umbria and see what's going on with you.
You are welcome.
2 cups.
We are 1.5 hours in the south of Montalcino, Montepulciano, Siena, so you are very close.
We're coming for dinner or lunch or something with my friends.
Of course.
And then we'll be back. We have a trip to Paris to make. But this has been fabulous to see you again and taste the wines. And I want them in the cellar because, like I told you, I'm bringing the wines home, and we're building a beautiful glass cellar, and we're going to put them right in front so people can see them.
Grazie.
Cheers.
Salute.
Good to see you again.